What's up, guys? I got a brand new record I'm really excited to put you onto. I didn't even know it was coming. I didn't find out about it till it was already out, but fortunately, I found out about it when it was still brand new. And that's why I want to do this video kind of real quick so you guys actually have a chance to order it. Because so many of these limited records, by the time I'm talking about it or covering it, it's sold out because they sold out on pre-order or whatever. So this is a new record you definitely don't want to sleep on. It's a brand new record by Silver Fox. The buck's still here on Hip Hop Bebop Records. So if you're like, gee, that name sounds familiar, but I'm not quite sure who that is, Silver Fox is one of the leading three MCs of the Fantasy 3. And like their name implies, this is really super old school disco era hip hop. Although, back when they were on wax. So we're not talking about the 70s and stuff, although I believe Silver Fox was around and did other projects back then and was, involved in the scene as far back as then. But the Fantasy 3, when they came out, was more like 1982 to 84, and they had records like It's Your Rock, which is the one who's sort of like the Crash Crew record, with the same sample and everything rocking on the radio. But what's interesting is that Silver Fox was kind of like just one of the MCs, I guess, as far as most people know, because really Charlie Rock is the guy from the Fantasy 3 that went on to have a big solo career, and he was like a big DJ, and he did like freestyle records and stuff like that, and actually some pretty dope records, but kind of moved away from traditional hip hop, so he became the big name, the solo artist out of the Fantasy 3. Silver Fox never had anything solo before until now in 2017, because this is not one of those records where like, oh, this is some lost, unreleased, limited, this is a brand new song by the Silver Fox. And Fantasy 3 records are dope and I recommend them all, but honestly, Silver Fox is probably best known now to heads for being the guy who Kool G cites often as his main inspiration, as one of the MCs that really got him started, because he had heard actually, if you read my interview with Kool G I did on my blog like I don't know, a couple of years ago, like we talked all about it and how, so I won't cover the whole thing because again, just go read my interview, but he talks all about how he heard Silver Fox off record as well and how he had a more kind of hardcore technical flow, because if you listen to Fantasy 3 records, again, disco era, so think more like Sugar Hill Gang than like Run DMC or Rakim or something. This is, they harmonized on hooks and stuff like that, but he definitely had the more kind of technical, real kind of flow of an MC in a slightly more modern age for 1982, 1983, 1984. And again, Kool G having heard him off record and really knowing that he had these more deep kind of skills that don't necessarily come off in the kind of pop song, hip hop, disco era kind of stuff. But you could hear it a little bit in Silver Fox back then. You can hear it on the records if you really kind of pay attention. Even within the Fantasy 3, I think you can kind of pick out the Silver Fox as being the more adept MC of the crew. And again, which is surprising because he's not the one who went solo. But so anyway, this is his brand new record on Hip Hop Bebop Records. The song is called The Buck's Still Here, which is a reference to The Buck Stops Here, which is one of the Fantasy 3 records. So you say, okay, this is kind of a sequel. And it kind of is, but not really. Like, if you actually listen to the content of the songs, The Buck Stops Here, the Fantasy 3 record, is really all talking about a girl who's like cheating on a guy and they're, kind of shaming her and, oh, don't play the man, all this kind of stuff. And this song is not about that at all. It's more of just like a socially conscious record talking about issues of the times, talking about can't trust the police, stuff like that. So, it's almost more along the lines of like The Message or something. It doesn't quote quite that in-depth or serious, like it's still kind of keeping up a breezy freestyle kind of flow. So it's that kind of message, is not as serious as say The Message, but definitely that kind of song, as opposed to The Buck Stops Here, which is more about girls. If you've never heard of Hip Hop Bebop Records, don't be surprised, this is their very first release. But Hip Hop Bebop, besides sounding like a Man Parrish song, is actually a dope website that if you look at my blog, like I've had it on my very short list of favorite hip hop websites for a couple of years now. It's sort of like a database of hip hop records. The guy running it adds like descriptions of all the records, which is what separates it from something like Discogs, where it's just sort of like, oh, okay, here's like every record in existence with like a little low quality photo and this and that. Here it's much more curated, but he writes about every single song. They're more high quality pictures, so it's a more in-depth, serious one. It's like I said, I definitely recommend it, especially what he's building it to. Like as he builds it and gets really more complete and thorough, it's going to be pretty amazing. And that's just how I found it. I was just going to Hip Hop Bebop one day because it's a site that's on my favorite list. I'm like, let me just check it out. And right on the front page, we got, check out our new Silver Fox record. And again, Silver Fox never did anything solo before. But if you look online, he has a YouTube channel and stuff like that, and he's been putting out songs and little independent things for years. So he's been active. This isn't like a completely out of nowhere thing, but this is his first real legitimate record and his first official release as a solo artist ever, and as a artist in general since the Fantasy 3. So it's just the one song. It's got the instrumental on the flip. And what I really like about it is that it is keeping in tone of the record since he left. Like, this is like a Fantasy 3 record in a lot of way. Obviously, it's just one guy as opposed to three, so you lose a whole lot of the trading, verses back and forth and that kind of thing and the interplay. So it does come off as a little bit harder, a little bit more rugged, a little bit more street, but I mean, only by comparison to those Fantasy 3 records. Like, it is a very super old school kind of electro/disco-y era beat, and it's produced by a named Clandest, who I've never heard before. I looked him up, and he's a London MC, or London producer, and this is like one of his very first projects ever. But he does a great job of making a really kind of classical, old school sounding kind of track. In fact, it does echo thematically, sort of, with The Buck Stops Here. It doesn't use the same samples or anything. It doesn't sound like, oh, they're using the same instrumental. If I gave you this record and said this came out from 1983, you'd be like, no, it didn't. You know what I mean? So it doesn't totally sound like that. But it definitely really gives you the vibes and the feelings that you got from records from 1983. So if you're listening to Fantasy 3 records saying, man, I wish we had more Fantasy 3 records, like, this is it. If you were saying, man, I wish I had a Silver Fox record, this is it. It doesn't sound like this guy who's trying to sound like, Lil Wayne or something. So many old school artists, when they make comeback, the first thing they do is like, well, what are the gimmicks out right now? Melly Mel trying to sound gangsta. I mean, there's been so many examples, and it's like, just do what you're great at, and that's what Silver Fox does, which is why this is exciting. But because Fantasy 3 goes way back, this isn't really one of those for the 90s heads. This is for the 80s heads, and not even the Marley Marl, cold chillin' Ultramagnetic MCs 80s. This is the early 80s heads. I love that era. I love a lot of eras of hip-hop. I'm a huge hip-hop nerd, but I love that era, and this is definitely reminiscent of that era. So I'm really excited about this record. I'm really happy with it. So it's just a 7-inch, and if there's one slightly disappointing aspect about this record, that's it. It's a 7-inch as opposed to 12-inch, but they do it up really nice. It also comes with a kind of nice hardback card biography and everything. Tells you a whole history of some stuff he did outside of even the Fantasy 3. But really, you're probably only buying this record if you know who Silver Fox is and you're excited about the prospect of a Silver Fox record. You can order it directly from hiphopbebop.com, and you can find that link off my blog, or just spell it out. It's just hiphopbebop.com. Here we go. Let's listen to some samples right now. The Buck's Still Here by the one and only Silver Fox, on record by himself, finally.
Can't stop, don't stop, you know you can't stop it. 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 So you say you're being too blue, I'm true to hip-hop, don't know about you. While you talk about how many dudes you shot, I got shorties on the block taking booty shots. Snapchat, Silver Fox coming back, take a beat, smash that, take a trick, smash that, like a halfback, that fact the world, from NYC to UK flex. I got West Day girls watching twirlers, I rock the world. Buffalo girls go round and round as I ground and pound. Give the beat a beat down. Everybody get your feet down. Get your hands high, close your eyes. From the front to the back, to the left, to the right side. Let's ride to a fox, yeah. Can't stop, don't stop, you know you can't stop it. 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 Can't stop, don't stop, rocking to the rhythm in the world that's going nuts. These police, that's policing us. We don't trust, got us walking around with hands up, saying don't you please. Is my ID and why I gotta be on my knees handcuffed. I can't breathe, too many men in the pen. World in crisis again. I see, thinking that life